Have you ever felt frozen in life, paralyzed by your own self-doubt and overthinking? What if I told you that the key to overcoming your indecision and doubt is actually hidden in Dragon Ball Z? After getting my bachelor's in psychology and using it to overanalyze Dragon Ball Z, I discovered how you can force yourself to stop doubting and start trusting your own decisions. So in this video, I'll show you the root cause of your self-doubt, how you can start taking action despite of it, and how to build the mindset that helps you trust your decisions faster. To start, I'm gonna break down the real reason doubt shows up so you can finally learn how to control it by taking a look at Gohan's story. Gohan is Goku's firstborn son, and he's been thrown into situations that no 4-year-old should have to experience. At the start of Dragon Ball Z, Gohan is forced to face off against the Saiyans, and he's terrified every single step of the way. But because he doesn't believe in his own abilities, whenever he needs to act, especially in a moment where it truly matters, he freezes. This becomes a major issue because he allows his doubt to control him at pivotal moments when he needs to step up. Gohan doesn't start making real meaningful difference in battle until he finally decides to show up and act. For example, during the fight against Frieza, if he hadn't stepped in after Krillin got stabbed, things could have ended much worse. And you won't see this again until he fights Cell. As his confidence grows, so do his actions, and they begin to shift the entire situation around him. But what does Gohan's story tell us about the source of your self-doubt? Gohan's story shows us that the real reason self-doubt shows up is because of fear. Fear of making the wrong move and fear of the unknown. This fear leads to decision avoidance. This is when the fear of making the wrong choice becomes too overwhelming, and your brain convinces you that doing nothing is safer than doing the wrong thing. But that hesitation is often what leads to the situation only getting worse or causes you to miss certain opportunities. To break that pattern, you have to start by asking yourself, what decision am I avoiding? And what is the fear behind it? When you don't face the decision head on, the fear behind it starts to grow in your mind. But naming that fear helps you take control of it, and you'll be able to take the first steps towards taking real action. But how do you actually take action when the fear and doubt are still present? Well, the best example of how to do this is shown from Krillin. Krillin is Goku's best friend, and he's not the strongest by any means. He constantly fights alongside literal gods and aliens that are way beyond his level, but that has never stopped him from stepping up. For example, in the Namek Saga, when he and Gohan are watching Vegeta fight one of the members of the Ginyu Force, he has the courage to take action despite his fear and doubt. And he does this multiple times again throughout the entire series against significantly stronger enemies. But despite all the odds being completely stacked against him, one trait about Krillin consistently shines through, and his ability to keep showing up no matter how much doubt is clouding his mind or his judgment. But how? Krillin is able to show up and take action despite the fear and doubt because he's learned that actions matter way more than being right or being the best. Because of this mentality, he's proven that he can show up no matter what, which allows him to repeat that behavior consistently. So how can you do the same? It all starts with understanding the confidence competency loop. Confidence doesn't magically happen. It's only developed through repeated action. And every time you make a move, even when you're unsure, you build competency and you start to trust in yourself. When you constantly show up, your brain will remember that. And the more you face your fears, the less power your fears will hold over you. So if you want to overcome your doubt, start by taking the smallest tiny possible action towards your goals that you've been putting off or things that you've been dealing with in a moment, and take that first initial step. But what if taking action just isn't enough for you? Next, I'm going to show you how to develop the mindset to trust in your decisions and put an end to your self-doubt for good by taking a look at Vegeta's mindset. During the Android saga in Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta had just become a Super Saiyan, and he thought that he was untouchable. But his bravado eventually came crashing down when he faced Android 18 and lost badly. When he lost, all the doubt started flooding in. He began questioning his ability on whether or not he was who he thought he was. However, right before he spiraled too deep, his thoughts shifted and he reminded himself of who he was and who he had yet to become. But how exactly did he do this? And how can you apply this mentality to your own life? Vegeta was able to do this because he understood the power of cognitive flexibility. Self-doubt often comes from rigid thinking patterns and fear of not knowing what's going to happen. So cognitive flexibility will help you overcome that doubt because it's the ability to adjust your thinking and adapt to uncertain and changing circumstances and new perspectives. In order to develop cognitive flexibility, you must first learn how to step back and observe your doubtful thoughts for what they are. You must pause by taking a deep breath and acknowledge your thoughts that you're having. Then you want to interrupt these thoughts by reminding yourself that these negative thoughts are just one side of the situation or viewpoint that you're looking at it from. Doubt often sounds convincing in the moment, but that doesn't mean that it's accurate. Finally, what you're going to want to do is redirect your focus to a different viewpoint of the situation. Remind yourself that you're more than capable and that you can handle any situation that comes your way. And adopting this way of thinking and practicing it consistently will help you develop the mindset that you need to force yourself to stop doubting your decisions. But even though you now know how to do that, you will still need to learn how Dragon Ball Z can reprogram your mind to stop doubting yourself. So click this video on your screen now to learn how it can help.